Welcome to Act 3 of Extra Time. I'm Greg Lawless, Shep Messing, and Jason, the producer, along with me here. Act 3, The Sounder and the Fury. In the build-up to the Houston-Seattle playoff series, we looked forward to a skillful, well-played matchup. Instead, we got a no-hold-barred brawl. It reminded me a little of the Kumite in Bloodsport, which I actually just saw the other day. That's why I thought about it. Jaquan bloodied his head, Onstad bulldozing over Montero. In the end, Houston had 18 fouls to Seattle's 6, but the Dynamo got the draw that they needed. That was the most important thing, wasn't it?
They did, and it took a great play by Brian Mullen, a couple good saves by Pat Onstad. They really buckled down, and they kept Seattle out of the net. I mean, Seattle created plenty of chances. Houston, to their credit, created some chances as well, but it ended up 0-0.
Well, they did the dirty work in Seattle. Now they go home to Houston, where the Robertson Stadium is going to be a mad sea of orange, I'm sure, with a couple of little pockets of green that make the trip down. How does this game change? What does Houston need to do in Game 2, Shep?
I think Houston did a great job getting the result they needed in Seattle. So how does it change? They obviously need a better presence in the attacking third. Stuart Holden, I don't think, in the first game created enough, but they played the way they played. At home, in Houston, Holden needs the ball. They've got to create. They've got to find a way. I think they get the job done. Houston's been very good at home.
Yeah, I think you have to credit the Seattle midfield for the lack of an impact that Clark and Holden had. I think Alonso played a great game, and he was all over the place. So for me, that's the key, is who's going to win that midfield battle, that Ricardo Clark, Stuart Holden, and Alonso, Freddie Ljungberg, Brad Evans, that group in the middle.
Well, Ljungberg, I thought, looked really good, actually. He was running all over the place, especially when he floated wide was when he was most dangerous. He would float out to the flanks and make those runs up the right side and the left side, either one. I thought Holden, this was his chance to really put a stamp on his reputation as Dayro's successor, if you will. And he didn't do it. So, I mean, he needs to pick it up.
No, out of those two guys, I think Ljungberg shined well beyond anyone. And the fact is, Ljungberg has shined against Houston all season long. He did it in their first meeting. He played well. Last time they went to Houston, he destroyed them, and Houston was lucky to get out of that game with a draw.
Well, yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say, one person who didn't shine, though, was Freddie Montero in this game for Seattle. Where was he?
Yeah, that's a great point, because I think this is a game coming up for Freddie Montero. We talked about Ljungberg. Freddie Montero has to find a way to get a goal. You've got to get goals. I think that tremendous crowd in Seattle sometimes works against you, where you feel the pressure to get forward. They didn't get a goal. They're in trouble now. Freddie Montero took the little bump from Onstad. Give me a break. I mean, he didn't get a fist to the head. He got a little chest bump, went flying. And, psychologically, Freddie Montero has to get back and get to goal.
Yeah, and I also think that for Seattle, we also look at the back line a little bit. What did you think when Patrick Ianni had to come in for Tyrone Marshall?
I'll be honest with you. I thought that Seattle was in trouble, and then 20 minutes into the game, I thought Houston was in trouble. Ianni came out and looked like he wanted to be the guy who was going to make a difference in this game.
Playing against his old club, right? Yeah. He was motivated by that.
The ball was cleared off the line. I mean, he got to the ball. Boom.
He did well. Yeah. But if Marshall is healthy this week, do you go with him?
I do go with Marshall. I think what Marshall has that Ianni doesn't have is a little more quickness. And I think playing in Houston, where Houston's going to come at them a little, whether it's keeping up with a run through the middle, whether it's defending one-on-one against Stuart Holden, I think Marshall, even at his age at 34, is quicker than Ianni. So I would want him in there.
I also think he has a little more bite. When you're playing away from home and need a result, that bite's going to matter. Well, that game is on Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Telefutura. So you get to watch it in Espanol, if you will. Guys, give me a quick prediction on how it's going to go.
2-1 Seattle, maybe in overtime.
Ooh, good one. What do you think?
I picked Seattle to go to the MLS Cup. I think it's the end of the journey. Houston wins.
The cup runneth over. Throw it away. I agree with you. I think Houston's going to get the result in that one. Well, a couple of news and notes around the league now. With the season ending, of course, the axe has already started to fall. First of all, Dallas GM Michael Hitchcock was let go. Toronto got rid of Chris Cummins. And this week we learned that Tommy Sohn pulled himself out of the running for the DC United job that he's held for the last 2 seasons. Obviously, Sohn heard something that he wasn't going to be getting the job. What's going on in DC? It's been kind of a busy week for them, especially with Kevin Payne making those comments about playing attractive football and then being fined by the league $5,000 for comments detrimental to the league and things like that. Jason, what's going on in DC, and who do you see taking over?
I think it's definitely interesting, the timing of it all, because you have also going on this week is the Red Bull's new sporting director is in town. So
Yes.
that kind of brings up what's going to happen to Richie Williams. And if I had to guess, I would say Richie Williams probably headed down to DC to take over that team.
More than Kurt Onalfa, who also has a history with DC United and now has some experience as a coach as well.
I mean, Shep, you've done their games. I like what I've seen from Richie Williams over the course of his brief tenure.
I think Richie Williams has had a short audition and he's nailed a part. Whether that part is with Red Bulls or DC United, talk about Chicago, talk about Toronto. I mean, there's a lot of movement with a lot of big clubs in terms of who their coach is going to be.
Was it right for Tommy Sohn to be let go? I mean, arguably let go, let's say.
I think he's a good coach. I think they struggled. I think when you struggle, there have to be repercussions. He's the manager. He's the guy to take the hit. Kevin Payne, just quickly about his comments, attractive soccer and teams in the league playing defensive, shutting it down. He's 100% right, but totally unrealistic. There's no league in the world where you can mandate a style of play.
It's very hard.
I've said it via Twitter, so I might as well say it here. I was actually a Tommy Sohn supporter, and I thought that Tommy Sohn should have been given another year to do it, especially a year without that congested schedule that he had.
Well, he's not going to get it. That's the way it goes. There'll be changes in D.C. Unfortunately, there were no changes in the ET Cup this week because we all put up a goose egg on this one. We got it wrong, unfortunately. But that's the way it goes,
Shep
and we're still playing. We're still playing. You guys are in the lead.
For the draw here.
Yeah, goose eggs were good for us.
Right. Okay. Well, you guys are in the lead, and I'm still chasing. But there's still time. We have Shep, as we said last week. We picked a series, but we also are picking games. So give us your game for this week, and also remind us what series you picked.
Well, my game is going to fit into my series. I picked the LA Galaxy over Chivas. I think they're in a position to get that done. And so for the individual game coming up this week, I'm taking the LA Galaxy 1-0 over Chivas.
What do you think?
Well, I'm in a similar situation as Shep. I also picked the Galaxy over Chivas for my series, and I'm actually going to go with Galaxy 2-0 over Chivas this week.
They're both picking the same game. Well, I picked Columbus over Real Salt Lake as my series, and I'm actually feeling pretty confident about that one. However, I'm going to go with Houston 2-1 over Seattle for my game this week because I think Houston's at home. They're going to have the big orange crush going on down there. It's going to be terrific, I think. That's all we have for you this week, but make sure you catch all of the games going on around the second game in MLS playoff series. That's the way it should go. And don't forget that we are going to be having a live 90-minute show before MLS Cup on the 22nd in Seattle, so be sure to tune in for that. You can also email us at extratime@mlsnet.com. Join us next week, and we'll kick it around.